buy some additional raffle tickets. See you, Dave.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Chuck McKay is our guest speaker today. We all saw his happy face on his look here. Mr. McKay, I do have a brief bio. Chuck is a former Rotary, correct?
Yes.
Too many people in business assume price is the biggest motivator in sales. Marketing expert Chuck McKay offers 6 other sales triggers that shows how to calculate their relative value. Chuck is the author of Fishing for Customers and Reeling Them In, now in its 5th printing, which is fantastic. His newest book, Selling the Golden Goose, How to Sell Your Company for Enough Cash to Last the Rest of Your Life, will be available on Amazon.com in August. His topic today is 6 ways to snag your competitors' customers without spending another dime in advertising. Ladies and gentlemen, Chuck McKay.
Thank you. I've spent most of my life trying to figure out what makes people do the things they do. And after a while, when you start seeing the patterns over and over, we all do it in one way or another. We start saying, oh, he's one of those, or whichever. But I started noticing that there were a number of things that people do that tend to be predictable over time. And one of those things is, if we want more customers, we must drop price. And I'm thinking, that's silly. That's the one thing that's guaranteed to make sure that you don't have any profit. There are so many other things we can do. And I put these all together into a formula that I'm going to share with you in just a minute. But to show you how this works, imagine that you are the manager of an electrical wholesaler in Midland, Texas. And you sell the same exact items that every other electrical wholesaler in the world sells. And you've been told that there is a new Lowe's being built half a mile south of you on Interstate 35. And there's a new Home Depot going in 1 mile north of you on Interstate 35. And oh, by the way, if you can't boost our sales, we're going to close this store. That is what my friend Mike Dandridge was up against, and we're going to come back in just a minute and show you what he did to make his company exceptionally profitable. But it was my contention that you can boil this down to a very simple formula. That was not it. This is the formula. This is really, really as basic as it comes, and I used these particular variables to make it easy to remember. Purchase intent is move over F, or whatever you want to say to keep it memorable. The M is the customer's motivation. The O is how closely your offer correlates to what it is the customer wants to buy. The V is the absolute value of what you're offering in dollars and cents. The E is the customer's experience with you or with your reputation. And F is friction. And it is my contention that we can take any possible sale, fill in these variables, and if the score comes out greater than 100, chances are you're going to have a buyer, and if it's less than 100, chances are they are not. For instance, suppose you decide you wish to buy a can of soda, and you walk up to the machine, and you are expecting to pay $1, but the actual price is only 75 cents. So in terms of value, this looks pretty good. We're now at 133. It's pretty confident you're going to make a sale. But you know, you really wanted Coke, and there's no Coke in the machine. And so what they're offering is not exactly what you wanted to buy. The score drops to a position in which you're not going to buy. But you're really thirsty. Customer motivation has gone up. The score goes to 200. It's likely this sale is going to happen until you recognize that the only flavor in the machine is Old Uncle Chuck's Rutabaga soda, and I promise you that sale is not going to happen. You're not going to be that willing to take a risk. And so with a score of 13, we can assume that this is the dead sale. If you blow out a tire in front of a neighborhood gas station, and you expected to have to pay $80 for a replacement tire and they're offering you one for $100, you're not really inclined to buy it, especially since they offered you a Yokohama tire and you really wanted a Goodyear. Score is 56. Doesn't look good until you realize it's 20 miles to town and it's getting real dark. Okay, so with all of this in mind, these are the steps that I have a 3-hour workshop we do on this. And yes, sir.
What does the F stand for?
Friction.
How do you quantify that? What are you looking at?
Friction is either time or risk. And in all honesty, I don't remember if we're going to cover that more or not. But if anybody is interested in this, I'll send you some additional materials. This is the table of contents from the 3-hour workshop. We're skipping most of it. I hope you'll forgive me for that. We first talked about customer motivation. I called that selling rotaries to the unconverted. If they don't want it, you can't sell it. We are going to go shopping with Carly and Linda in just a minute and talk about what your offer needs to look like. There are 8 different message positions that you can take. We're not going to talk about that today. We are going to talk about value. We are going to talk, we're probably going to skip reputation. You know, I really wanted to pull this slide out of here because I'm stumbling over it and I knew I was going to, and there's really no reason to tell you what's not going to be discussed today anyway. This is a 400-pound marketing consultant. This is the guy who went to the doctor about a year ago, and the doctor looked at the chart and said, "This must be a typo. You don't weigh 398 pounds. This must be 298. And I said, "Nah, it's 398. He looked at me for a minute, and most serious conversation I've ever had, he just stared at me and he says, "Well, you know what you got to do." And then picked up the chart and said, "You need refills on your meds." That was the entire talking to that I got. You know what you've got to do. I suppose he's dealt with enough overweight people to recognize that no amount of lecturing is going to make any difference. Because, here I was, 59 years old at that time, and I've been overweight for at least the last 40 of those. And I've had doctors tell me, "You're going to die." I've had other people tell me, "Oh, that can't be healthy." And I didn't care. I quite frankly did not care. And then I got this postcard. Our youngest daughter, is getting married. I guess I better go try on the tuxedo. It's 8 inches shy of being able to button. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a sales trigger. Life provides triggers. We can't make people want it until they are ready to want it. I was not ready to buy a new tuxedo. I was forced into it. But for the first time ever, I started thinking about it. You know, if I go walking down the aisle with my daughter on my arm, she's going to look like she's been escorted by a big black and white balloon. I don't want to put her through being escorted by a balloon. And so this is what I looked like 80 pounds lesser at the wedding back in March. It became a case of I want it now. I want to lose those pounds. And I did. And there's nothing anybody could have done to have talked me into it. So my point on this is you can't make people want something. However, once they decide they want it, you can help them want it real badly. Nobody buys anything until they want it to stop hurting. Maybe the hurt is people just don't pay enough attention to me, and I will gladly pay to get their attention. Maybe the hurt is I'm hungry. Maybe the hurt is you just stuck me with a pin. But one way or another, there is a pain that we are going to eliminate that makes me want to purchase. Anybody know the single biggest reason people buy pancake syrup?
Sweet.
They're out of syrup. Nobody sees an ad and says, You know, I've gone most of my life without eating pancakes and syrup, but this ad is so compelling, I'm going to go buy some Mrs. Butterworth's. It doesn't happen. When people run out of syrup is when they start paying attention to the advertising. Usually the closer they get to the store, the more they pay attention to it. And those little in-store displays are now really important, because if you're going to make me switch brands, this is the time at which it's going to happen. But my point today is you don't need to cut price to get people to buy, because I have 6 other full price triggers we're going to discuss now. We can rev up the shopper motivation. Once you decide, I don't want my daughter to be seen with a 400-pound father, you can come up with all kinds of ways to make somebody want to get thin real badly. You can make that offer very relevant. If I go to a car lot and I say, I'm going back to school, I'm looking for a car, and the salesperson assumes, well, then you're a student, you're going to need something economical, let me show you student cars, and doesn't realize, I want to look good for the co-eds. He's going to direct me to a car that is not what I want to buy, and he's not going to make that sale. Perceived value. We talked about that with the Coca-Cola. If you're expecting to pay one price and you pay a different one, the difference between them, one divided by the other, is the value. The quality of your reputation becomes a factor. And believe it or not having a reputation is worse than having a bad one. People are scared of the unknown. Those are things that will increase price. Shoppers' risk and the amount of purchase tend to be working against you in that case. Let's talk for a minute about when people want what you've got. It usually happens in this order. Not always. Usually they acknowledge they have a problem. Then they become aware of all the ways to solve that problem. And finally they say, you know what, it's time for me to do it. Now, if you wake up, swing your legs over the side of the bed, and plunge your feet into 2 inches of cold water, you're probably not going to go through, well, what are my options? It'll probably be a case of, I'll grab the mop, you call a plumber. We need to get this done now. Who can get here fastest? Early stage, buyer awareness. I'm just becoming aware that I'm unhappy about something and I want to fix it. Your message should be at that time, we can help you even if you don't yet know what questions you want to ask. In the mid stage, this is where testimonials come in great. I'm just like you. I too doubted. I bought it. I'm happy. You'll be happy if you buy it. Late stage is you want it. I understand you want it. Let me help you get it. As I said, you can't make people want it, but you can make them want it very badly. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to take it away from them. Urgent is not a natural state. If you're going to create urgency, it doesn't last very long. And if you start hearing things like, you must take delivery from dealer stock before midnight Friday, or offer applies to the first 100 purchasers, these are things that are being taken away from you to rev up that urgency. This is Dr. Roger Shearer. He is the Vice President of Product Development for a company called Third Millennium Metals. If he lives long enough, he's going to be a billionaire. His company has developed a process that embeds carbon into various metals. And Third Millennium has a copper that does not tarnish and conducts electricity better than ordinary copper. It would be perfect for making connectors for wiring harnesses for automobiles. They have an iron that heats perfectly evenly. So it doesn't matter what kind of burner you put it on, whatever you cook in it is going to cook evenly. They have an aluminum that can be extruded into very, very thin wire that still conducts electricity amazingly. And you can then wind that into tiny little electric motors and put a lot of torque into space that people didn't consider before. But what they have is a brand new material. It's not a metal, it's not a plastic, and industry is not at all familiar with this. If you're in industry, you're going to be a bit skeptical. And so what they were trying to do for the last several years was test the stuff, see if it does what we tell you it will. and then buy it from us and start using it. Roger was getting no traction from anybody. They kept saying, well, we want more tests. And now we want more tests on top of that. And of course, you're going to have to pay for all these tests. You're the seller. And then one day, Roger just withdrew their material from the market. They also, at that same time, signed an agreement that says if the tests come back and say that the material has the properties that you tell us that it does, we'll sign a contract right now buying the first load of material from you. And as I said, this is an exciting time for Roger and his company, because once this thing becomes accepted, it'll be like King Gillette and his safety razors. You know, everybody starts buying them, and he became independently wealthy. I'm excited for him. Carly and Linda are going to go shopping. Again, I want to stress that aligning your offer with what it is they're trying to buy is critical. Coupon Clipping Carly is a transactional buyer. She likes to shop. She likes to compare price. She likes to negotiate for price. Loyal Linda, my slides are out of sequence. Loyal Linda doesn't know enough about what it is she's purchasing, and so what she's really looking for is someone who will not take advantage of her ignorance. What makes her loyal is she trusts the person she's buying from. Has nothing to do with the price or the rest of the offering. And all of us shop in both modes, because all of us know things that are important, and we are afraid we don't know things in other areas. For instance, I know that the only cream of chicken soup that I like the taste of is Campbell's. Boy, I am adamant I will buy Campbell's, and I will shop price for cream of chicken if I get it from Campbell's. You're going to offer me 5 cans for $2, I will drive across town for that. But if you want to talk to me about a new diabetic drug, I trust my doctor, and I'm not going to haggle with him over how much the drug costs as much as is it going to do what I want it to do. The right thing to say to one of them is exactly the wrong thing to say to another. If you talk about price and buying it right now, Linda is going to say, he's trying too hard to sell me, I don't trust him. But if you talk about the value of the relationship, Carly is going to say, will you just give me the price? So let's go shopping with Carly. Carly responds real well to direct response. Here's the offer, do you want it or don't you? This is a great way to sell consumables, less expensive items, those things that have short purchase cycles, milk at my house. And if you're trying to focus on immediate sales, you want to do that. Use a call to action ad, offer an incentive. Linda is going to respond better to branding type advertising. Durable goods, more expensive goods, longer purchase cycles. And if you're doing that kind of advertising, you want to focus on image building. Top of mind awareness is the ad. Wait for her to need what you've got. Okay, so Carly's friends go shopping. She goes to Primo Appliances, then she goes to Circuits and More and Us Guys and Cooks and PJ's Emporium, and she ends up spending $69 for this unnamed widget that everybody's decided is popular. And then we go on to Thrifty Tim, who makes the circuit, and he ends up going back to Cooks and paying $69 for it as well. Cheap Charlie, after comparing all the prices, says, well, you know, Primo had it for that price and it's on my way home, so he buys it from them. Economical Ernie makes the rounds and he goes back to Cooks. And finally, Prudent Pam also goes to Primo after making the rounds and trying all the prices. So what do we have here? 25 store visits resulting in 5 sales. That's a 20% closing ratio. The average selling price, $69. Average markup is only, assuming that the, making some assumptions, it's a 38% average markup and a $19 profit on this $69 item. But when the other group goes out, Loyal Linda starts at Circuits and More and doesn't go any farther because she trusts them. She pays $77 for it. Resolute Ralph pays $81 because he trusts those people at Us Guys. Steadfast Sherry really likes the salesperson at Circuits and More. She bought it from him for $77. We had Faithful Faye at $81 at Us Guys, and Determined Dennis, PJ's Emporium, paid $89 for the widget. And so what we have here is 5 store visits and 5 sales and a 100% closing ratio, an $81 average selling price, 62% markup, and a $41 profit. The point here is, if you are selling things that are likely to be larger purchases or not be purchased as often, you may be way ahead in waiting for people to come to you. Here's the amazing part of this. The transactional salespeople, man, all anybody cares about is price. Well, of course. They had 25 people come in and shop, and only 5 of them bought, because those same people were going everywhere else to compare price. You're not hearing price is all they care about when you're talking to people who buy relationally. This is a, forgot the model. It's a Hyundai. This is why I have notes, because sometimes I just don't remember. It's a Hyundai Accent. The manufacturer's recommended selling price is $10,705. Who drives one? $10,705. Least expensive production automobile in America. No hands? I believe we have just eliminated the only thing people care about is price as an excuse for not selling something. I'm going to skip that because it doesn't matter. Value. Expected price over actual price. Let's modify this just a little. Expected price minus incentives. Actual price plus hard costs. If you have to drive to California to take delivery of something, there are some real hard costs in that. That becomes friction. This is friction. Is this an expensive place to shop? Is this? Okay. Chances are that you're not going to be coming here looking for bargains. This is value. This is the Blue Plate Special. This was real popular during the Depression of the 30s. It's become popular again. A lot of restaurants have a special. This is it. If you buy exactly this, so we know what to put in stock, we'll sell it to you for less money. Here's another great value. Slacks wear out before jackets do, so we'll sell you a suit with 2 pairs of pants. I love this one. Kentucky Fried came out with reusable containers, so you can put your leftovers in them. Has anybody ever had burger and fries at Five Guys? No. Okay. What happens when you buy French fries at Five Guys? They take a big old styrofoam cup and they put it in the bottom of a paper bag and they start dumping. And a lot of the fries miss the cup and they keep on filling it until the cup is full. So you're probably going to get about twice as much as you think you want. My brother-in-law and I went in one day and they said, "You want fries?" And we said, "I don't know. I'm not sure that's going to be enough." They said, "Well, if you want more, let us know." We polished off the first batch and they refilled that at no charge. This is great perceived value. Mattress Mac. Galaxy Furniture in Houston. His whole claim is, yeah, we've got it for not much money. No, I won't special order it for you, but I'll have it in your home tonight. I won't order it in green, but if you like the sofa in brown, you can be sitting on it this evening, and that's the promise I make. Speed is a value. Enterprise will come pick you up. If you have to rent a car, chances are you're going to need a ride as well. Let's spend a little bit more time on friction. Single step ad, am I running close to time? Oh, okay, we're okay. Single step ad. Here it is, buy it. That works great if you're buying a tube of toothpaste. There's not an awful lot of risk in toothpaste. If I don't like it, I'm out $2, I'll throw the rest of it away. What are you risking? You're risking that you bought the wrong thing. You're risking that you bought something that isn't going to last. You're risking that you paid too much for it. Do you think anybody buys a Hover-Round on a whim? No. So what these people are doing, the people who sell the Hover-Round, are looking to give you a risk-free next step. We want you to identify yourself, and then we want you to let us begin to give you more information to move you from somebody who's aware that they have a problem to somebody who's getting urgent about solving that problem. So what do they do? Get started today, give us this, and we'll send you more information. A colleague of mine calls this a shy yes. Yes, I'd like to know more about it. As you know more, moving from early stage, mid stage to late stage in that buying process, the risk keeps going down until eventually you purchase. The friction that you wanted to talk about very specifically is risk and the square root of time in hours. If I have to wait an hour, that's my standard. 2 hours is twice as much time, but when you take the square root of that, it's 1.4. 2 hours is slightly longer. 3 days is the square root of 72. 3 days is 8 times as long, or 8 times as much friction as 1 hour. After a while, time is just long. Risk we already talked about. You know what this is? This was a Chinese laundry during the gold rush in San Francisco. They honestly put clothing on clipper ships and hauled it to Hawaii or to Shanghai, washed those clothes, and returned them to the miners. So, what do you suppose was the biggest problem, the biggest piece of friction? Time. No matter how good the wind is, you got to get across the ocean and back. Time, again, if you buy this today, expect free standard shipping to deliver it on this date. How to make sure your website loads faster so people don't get impatient waiting to see the picture. Time has become a real big element of friction. And there's an exercise I do in the workshop in which I say that these things are identical machines at a traffic, what do you call those things at the side of the road where you pull over? Pardon? Rest stops, thank you. I hate getting old. Rest stop, we have 2 identical machines. Let's pretend that you are the responsible for this one. And I will not allow you to sell for a lower price than the guy has the other machine. What are you going to do to make people buy from this one? I'm sorry?
Put it in a more obvious place.
Yeah, they pretty much restrict them to right here behind the little metal rack.
Like the coin slot.
I like that.
Well, make sure you have choice, but pay attention to what people are buying and make sure that's what you keep.
Okay. One thing is never run out of stock. That's a great idea. Anything else? Yes. Eric, right?
Yeah. Loud neon branding.
Something to get attention. Okay.
The other option,
Is?
I was going to say, is they both look like they have money changes on it. You also could use a debit
Mm-hmm.
accessibility.
That could work real well.
Or something in that line.
How about this? How about if we put a little plaque right here that says, "My name is Chuck McKay. I maintain this machine to keep it at exactly 38 degrees so that you get a cool, refreshing drink every time. if you have any problem with this machine, here is my cell phone number. Call me. I will make it right immediately. And the other one doesn't have that sign. Might that influence your purchase? We don't have to drop price to get people to buy from us. So, that's it. The formula is pretty straightforward. I told you about Mike Dandridge at the very beginning. Mike was running a Rexel Electric. Actually, I misled you with the image because it wasn't Rexel at that time. It was still Summers Electric at that time. And they said, okay, Mike, you got Lowe's on one side, you got Home Depot on the other, and this store has been grossing about $300,000 a year, and we're not even sure we want to keep it open anymore. What are you going to do? Mike put in a convection oven and started baking chocolate chip cookies throughout the day. So when you walked in, the place smelled great. He put a Mr. Potato Head and an Etch-a-Sketch and cooties and other games that were popular in the 50s and 60s on the counter. So when electricians came in to buy the supplies they needed, they had something to do while they waited. He put in a Senseo coffee maker and a great selection of coffee flavors. He said it was pretty funny because you'd see a grizzled old electrician coming in and say, Mike, you're out of the Sumatran rose hips. They put colored lights from you normally see on Christmas trees around the desk. They invested in plantscapes, had landscapers come in and put plants all around the facility. They took off the music on hold and put comedians on hold. Now, at no time could they drop price, or could they change inventory. They had to be offering the same electrical supplies that electricians wanted. But what they did was turned it into a destination. This is the place that people wanted to go. Now, typically an electrician will go to the closest supply house because the time he's spending in transit is time he doesn't get paid for. So if he has to stop the job and go buy something and then return, he'll take the one that's closest. They started skipping those that were closer and going directly to what was then Summers Electric. Why was that important? Because in the next 18 months, their annual billing went from $300,000 to $14 million. Now, if an electrical wholesaler can make his business attractive enough to make that kind of difference, there is no excuse for the rest of us dropping price to make a sale. And if there's any one thing I'd like you to remember today, you don't have to cut price. That's my entire point. The formula is purchase intent is move over F, and if you have questions, this is a great time for them. Yeah? Okay, thank you. Okay.
It's just a silly question. The cookies, did they sell the cookies? Did they give them to them?
Yeah. They gave away the coffee, they gave away the cookies. In my workshop, I bring in a convection oven and I turn the thing on and we bake some cookies there. Nobody knows what I'm doing. And the place fills up with the smell of cookies. And then I tell them what the story, and it's like, wouldn't you want to walk into a place that smelled like this? Yeah, he gave away the cookies, but it was the aroma of the cookies that made the difference.
Was this, when he did the turnaround, was it a plan step by step, or was it sort of a hit and miss trial and error?
I would love to tell you that Mike had this all planned. I think he was winging it. I think he understood intuitively that he needed to make people want to come there, and he was just looking for ways to make them want it more. Mike is a good friend of mine and a brilliant marketer, but I suspect this one was as much luck as it was planning. Well, recognizing luck and taking advantage of it is a great thing too. Sir?
When I was in the music store years ago, they had a competitor on the street. And during the summer especially, when it was hot, I had kept the refrigerator in there with packets of ice cream in it. And we couldn't finish up the sale. We handed some ice cream.
And then they're standing there holding it?
And
That's a great idea. Was there another hand here? Yes, ma'am.
You are a former Rotarian?
Yes.
Which club?
The Victorville Rotary meets at the Green Tree on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So you do Margaret Rotary.
Yes.
Did you give your Rotary Club advice on recruitment?
No. At the time I was a Rotarian, I was managing some local radio stations and was not offering consulting services, and nobody asked me.
Would you, what best piece of advice would you give Rotary as far as recruitment?
May I get back to you with a well thought out answer rather than a silly one off the top of my head that might embarrass me?
Okay.
Okay, I will do that. Sir?
So what about things that you would do to improve your business, but which could be eventually copied easily? So what if, you know, the competitor also makes cookies, and, you know, there are lots of strategies where you're at one point, you don't,
And-
there's no differentiation.
And the worst part about it is it's easier for a big competitor to have the resources to do that. The other problem with being big, though, is you've got all that corporate bureaucracy.
So you cannot change that.
Is anybody at Lowe's corporate going to allow you to take steps like this, or are they going to insist you follow the planogram? I tend to think in a case like that, the little guy has the advantage. Anything else?
I don't know. I have a tenant in a shopping center that I own. It's a pizza restaurant. It's a smaller national chain.
Mm-hmm.
Caters to its people. And the people that he has a franchise from are very rigid in what they can sell and what they can do.
Right.
In the location where it is, where the businesses are now, I mean, I can make all kinds of suggestions. That, it used to be a coffee shop, so people were used to coming there for coffee. So
Make coffee available, yeah.
Pizza, offer coffee. They were absolutely rigid about not allowing
Yeah.
the franchisee in. And I think the rigidity of people.
Franchises are frequently not a really good thing for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, because they can't think of.
Right. Anything else? Thank you so much for your kind attention. Oh,
As a Rotarian, you know that Rotary is fighting to try to eradicate polio since 1985.
yes.
And on behalf, we'd like to present you with a certificate, and a donation will be made to the polio fund.
Thank you.
In recognition of your speech, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you so very much.
You want me to- don't go away.
Pardon?
Try to,
Oh,
oh, no, he wants to see that.
Got it, thank you.
Now, David. How about, we go through all, we got two things, we got $242, $23 in receipts. We also have a book that Chuck will personalize to the winner of the second prize.
thank you.
Someone who did not buy tickets. Chuck didn't buy any tickets.
Wise part.
I guess Peter would be a good one, or
How much do we need?